welcome to my channel. It's another day in paradise here in Ohio. Today I thought I would talk about a little bit about how I grew up and where I came from and what kind of Amish I grew up in. So I grew up in Ohio. I grew up Swartzentruber Amish. I grew up in Knox County, which is about an hour north of Columbus, Ohio. I know a lot of people know where Columbus is, so just to give you an idea of kind of where it is. So we obviously drove horse and buggy. We did not have triangles, no flashers, lights, anything like that, no batteries. The only light we had on the buggy was a lantern on both sides of the buggy, which is very dangerous if you ask me. But most Amish people are very ignorant about that. They have no idea what it looks like when you're driving a car. You cannot see the buggy if it's like at dusk or something or early in the morning. Some of them are like, oh, well, we don't have to light a lantern to go out on the road because, it's just starting to get daylight. Well, it's very dangerous. I would never do that anymore. Yeah, you don't realize how it is when you have never driven in a car. But anyways, that's like total different subject. So I grew up with a water pump in our house, as in kind of like the big pumps that they used to have back in the day, like the big windmill pumps. We did not have a windmill in our house, but we did have a little well pump that we would have to pump to get the water out. I know now most people have spigots for the water. We did not have one. I don't know. I know some people did have one back then, but I don't know, my parents just didn't have one. My dad had a furniture shop. He built furniture. He used to build bedroom sets and all kinds of furniture, and he was really good at it. But then he started building kitchen cabinets, and that is kind of the main thing I grew up in, is building kitchen cabinets. So I worked in my dad's shop helping him build kitchen cabinets. It was me and my brother and one of my cousins worked in there, and we built lots of kitchen cabinets for contractors and some really gorgeous stuff. And then once I was I was probably 16 or something, I started working in the finish shop where we finished the cabinets, and I started spraying the finish on. And then, let's see, going from a couple years from that, I worked in that. And then when I was 17, I left the Amish. And I thought, I would leave for a couple weeks or something, and I'd come back, and my parents would let me do whatever I want to, because then they'd be scared that I'm going to leave again, so they just let me do what I want to. But it doesn't work like that. So I left the Amish, and since I was 17, I was not a legal adult. And so I got a call from my cousin one day, and he says that he heard that my dad is threatening to send the cops after me to bring me home since I wasn't an adult. And he said that he would recommend that I just go back Amish so that the cops don't have to come pick me up. And I'm like, yeah, I would rather not, be driving in the back of a cop car. So I went back Amish, and I think the day I went back was probably the worst day of my life. But anyway, I did not want to go back Amish. I just did not want to go. But I did, and I moved in with my sister. And my parents did not like that. They wanted me to live with them. So they decided that I am mentally ill because I wanted to leave the Amish, and they started taking me to a counselor, which I am not against counselors, but I had a very bad experience then because they forced me to go and I did not want anything to do with it. And so I went like 2 or 3 times, and finally I asked mom and dad what I can do for them that they will quit taking me, because I hated every minute of it. The only thing they wanted from me was for me to move back in with them, and I did not want to do that. So they told me that if I move back in with them, they'll stop taking me to the counselor. So I'm like, okay, fine. I moved back in with them, and they didn't take me again, but it was miserable. I remember the last time I went to the counselor, I couldn't even talk. And when I got home, I cried the rest of the day because I was so miserable. I felt like nobody cared, nobody gave a crap about me, but I got over it. Thank you, Jesus. So I was Amish for another couple years. And then they told me my oldest brother was married. He had 4 kids at the time, I think, but he had a flooring shop that he would make flooring and finish it. So they told me, just for me to get away a little bit, that I can go work for him 2 days a week. I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. So I did that for about a year. Actually, for 2 years until I left the next time. But anyway, so I worked for him. I worked in the finish shop. I sprayed finish on the flooring and stained and everything. I really enjoyed it because it was a way of getting away and, kind of clear your head. But anyways, where am I going? I got to partying a lot. I started drinking a lot, and I would get drunk about every weekend, and it wasn't a very good life at all. But I was trying to deal with all just the crap of being a teenager, I guess, and trying to deal with being Amish, and I did not want to be Amish. It wasn't too bad after probably about a year after I was back, but so a couple months after I came back Amish, my parents decided that they want to go to Kentucky. I have some relatives in Kentucky, and they wanted to go there to a wedding, and I really wanted to stay home, but they didn't let me because they were afraid I'm going to leave again. So they made me go with them, and I remember that I had cut my hair when I left the Amish, and I remember my cousins, I had bangs, and I remember my cousins making fun of me because I had bangs, and they thought it wasn't cool. But anyways, that's another story. But yeah, then I worked for my brother for a couple years, and then when I was 19, I decided to leave the Amish again. And I have a younger brother, and we were really close. And the first time I left, it was really hard on him, and I promised myself that I would never do that again. I wouldn't, he got blamed for everything when I left the first time, and I felt so bad. So he told me if I ever leave again, he wants to go with me. So I'm like, okay. And then when I was 19, I decided I want to leave again. I'm going to try this again. And so one evening, me and my brother, my mom and dad went to my grandma's house, and we're like, okay, now's the time. So me and my brother grabbed some clothes, and we left a note in our room, which is not, I would not do that again. That was horrible to my parents. But we left a note, and they didn't find it until the next morning. but we left a note that we left the Amish, and we just, you know, it's not their fault, and we just can't live that life anymore. So we both left the Amish. We went and stayed. My cousin knew a couple that helped out kids that leave the Amish, so we went and stayed at their house for a couple nights, and then we found we moved in with, or I moved in with a girlfriend of mine, and then so my best friend left the Amish like 3 days before that, so that was really cool. My best friend worked at the flooring shop too, and that's where we kind of became really good friends. And then I moved in with her eventually, and he moved in with the guy that's my husband now, which is another story. But yeah, so that's kind of like just covering the basic part of my story. But yeah, I mean, living the Amish life, I know it is for some people. It was not for me. So yeah, I couldn't handle all the rules. And anytime you ask them why they have all these rules, they say, oh, you know, it's just how we grew up, it's how my ancestors were, and it's just they never have the answer to why are there so many rules among the Amish and why you have to follow them. It's just because this is how it's always been done. And so, yeah. Anyways, well, leave in the comments what you think, and what if you want me to share more details or stuff like that. So that's all for today. Love you guys. Bye.